Hi guys, good afternoon. So today I will be discussing the forms of terrorism in America. I know that the common terrorist group window is the ISIS, but actually there are some forms of terrorism. So first, the basic forms of terrorism are the international terrorism, domestic terrorism, and the transnational terrorism. First, the international terrorism, violent criminal acts committed by individuals or groups who are inspired by or associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations or nations, or they are the state sponsored. An example of this is the Hezbollah. And this Hezbollah is a Shia Muslim political party and militant group based in Lebanon, where its extensive security apparatus, political organization, and social services network fostered its reputation as state within a state. So I put this an example of international terrorism because according to the US policymaker, this Hezbollah is a global or international threat. And next is the domestic terrorism, violent criminal acts committed by individuals or groups to further ideological goals stemming from domestic influences such as those of political, religious, social, racial, or environmental nature. And the example of this domestic terrorism is the Black Lives Matter. According to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, to his interview on Fox News, this Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist group because basically they are killers and they hate white people. And lastly, the transnational terrorism involves action in which victims, perpetrators, and sites of violence represent different states and nationalities. An example of this is the September 11 or the 9 September 11 attacks or the 9/11. So actually it's part of our report, so parang may papanood kaming video sa inyo. So let's move on other subtypes of terrorism. So first, the national terrorism, terrorist activities involving national borders. So this national terrorism seek to form self-determination in some form, which may range from gaining greater autonomy to establishing a completely independent sovereign state, or what we call separatism. Next is the revolutionary terrorism, activities aimed at the philosophical and political nature of government. Next is the reactionary terrorism, activities concerned with preventing societal and governmental changes. And last, the religious terrorism, whereby violence is used to further religious objectives. And now let's move to the important forms of terrorism. Um, Actually, these two is ito yung hindi tayo aware na they are actually form of terrorism. So first, the vigilante terrorism committed by private citizens against other private citizens. Sometimes the motivation is racial, ethnic, religious, or other hatred. And sometimes the motivation is to resist social change. And as example of this is the Ku Klux Klan or the KKK. So I put this an example of vigilante terrorism because historically the pioneers member or the first clan used terrorism, both physical assault and murder against politically active blacks and their allies in the South in the late 1860s until it was suppressed around 1872. And this Klux Klan is an American white supremacist hate group. Their primary target are the African Americans as well as Jews, immigrants, leftists, homosexuals, and until recently the Catholics. Catholics, rather. And then the next one is the single issue terrorism. Extremist militancy on the part of groups or individuals protesting a perceived grievance or wrong usual attributed to governmental actions or inactions. An example of this is the monkey wrenching. So this monkey wrenching is term came into use after the publication of author Edward Abbey's novel The Monkey Wrench Gang. Generally, the three principal issue here in the um, single issue terrorism are the animal rights, environmentalism, and abortion. And this monkey wrenching is an example of environmentalism. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.